Hello, TradingView community. Welcome to my new analysis about Euro USD on several time frame perspectives. And with Euro USD, there have been some major developments within the recent times that I am going to explicate within my analysis today. Because Euro USD has shown up with these heavy bearish declines within the small structure, heavily dumping to the downside, showing up with these heavy bearish dumps to the downside, liquidating a lot of long positions within the market. And within the current market dynamics, I have spotted the most important underlying dynamics within the whole market that I have spotted within my data dashboard and therefore analyze it within the current underlying dynamics. And Euro USD has shown up with these heavy bearish declines towards the downside, with this heavy bearish bear market decline towards the downside. And this is a legit bear market decline because within the stocks market, a bear market decline is when the market falls minus 50% towards the downside. And in this case, within Euro USD, a bear market is already confirmed when the bear market declines show up with a decline of minus 25% towards the downside, divided by a leverage factor of 5. And this means that Euro USD is already within a major legit bear market towards the downside. And now, as this bear market already accelerated to the downside, there are also major other underlying factors that are actually confirming this major bear market decline towards the downside, such as the high interest rates within the Eurozone. There are so high interest rates within the Eurozone, especially with the further inflation dynamics increasing further. This means that the interest rates within the Eurozone are in need to increase further and further to higher levels, and this means that this is actually fueling this major bearish declines towards the downside. And besides that, there's a major gap between the interest rates levels and also between the inflation rates levels between the euro zone and the USD zone. This means that this is making the euro more bearish against the USD, and this is why these major bearish declines towards the downside have shown up several times, showing up with these heavy bearish declines towards the downside. And now this was also the origin of this gigantic ascending wedge formation to be completed towards the downside. And as I already mentioned it within previous ideas, such a ascending wedge formation is in almost all cases a major origin of a major breakdown towards the downside, of a major bearish breakdown towards the downside. And in this case, this ascending wedge formation has been already completed with the breakout below the lower boundary of this gigantic ascending wedge formation. And from there on, Euro USD has just shown up with this heavy bearish downside pressure, moving into more lower lows within this whole structure. Also, in this case, it has to be mentioned that the volume is increasing further, and especially with these recent breakouts towards the downside, the volume has reached a high volume, a high bearish volume spike within this whole structure, bouncing below the 200 EMA, and now this major 200 EMA is a major resistance within this whole structure. And this means that Euro USD is likely to stay below this major 200 EMA within this whole structure and confirm it as a major resistance within this whole structure. Especially in this case, Euro USD is likely to confirm this major resistance within the upcoming times. And in this case, it has to be mentioned that Euro USD is forming a major bear flag formation within this whole structure, which will be completed with the final breakout below the lower boundary. And once this whole bear flag formation has been completed, it is going to accelerate the further bearish dynamics towards the downside. And in this case, this is a legit bear flag formation. And in this case, once this whole bear flag formation has been completed, a major wave count towards the downside is going to activate. this main wave C towards the downside, this bearish wave C towards the downside, and this is going to accelerate the bearish dynamics heavily, especially with the further increasing high inflation within the euro. This means that this is going to fuel this bearish wave towards the downside, especially as the gap between the inflation is increasing more and more. This is actually a major bearish indication for this euro USD development towards the downside. And in this case, it will be important how Euro USD actually continues with completing this wall bear flag formation towards the downside, because in this case, Euro USD will actually move into the final target zones, the final target zones of this wall bear flag formation towards the downside, and this pullback of the 200 EMA will be confirmed with the target zones of 0.977 and the target zone of 0.98872. The 0.98872 target zone will be the minimum target zone of this wall bear flag formation within this wall structure. And once the 0.98872 level target zone has been reached within this wall structure, it will be important how the momentum actually develops once this final minimum target zone has been reached, because if the momentum actually slows down and if there's a calming down within the inflation gap developments, there's also the possibility that Euro USD actually has the potential to form something like a reversal development that actually reverses this development. However, if the major inflation gap developments are so severe and the major economic disruptions are going on further within this war structure, and a huge bearish volume is actually setting up here with more and more bears coming into the market, more and more institutional smart money operators are actually shorting this whole Euro USD development towards the downside. This is an indication that the market is going to continue with further bearish declines within this whole structure, and especially when the market is pulling back below the 0.977 area, this is going to accelerate the bearish dynamics into these bearish ground developments. And in this case, the Euro USD zone has a major bearish continuation zone below these final bearish structures, below which the target determination and the bearish trend developments will reach a next acceleration level from where Euro USD will just continue into the bearish developments. Therefore, these are the major determinations to be considered here within this whole structure. Now, what is important within the near future is this major bear flag formation that is likely to be completed within this whole severe bearish development structure towards the downside, and especially as the current factors are pointing to this overwhelmingly high possible bearish scenario breakout within the next times, this should be considered. And once this happened, the first target zone will be the pari target zone. The pari target zone will be the 1 Euro USD rate, and once this target zone has been reached, the next target zone will be the under pari target zone. This will be the 0.98872 level, and below this, the further bearish acceleration dynamics will continue when the major severe bearish interest rates developments and the high inflation rates, together with the economic developments that are not looking really bullish, are going towards the downside, and also more institutional smart operators are shorting this Euro USD into the lower directions. This is going to show up with these heavy bearish declines towards the downside within the next times. Therefore, these are the major developments that should be considered here with Euro USD, and it will be a highly important dynamic to consider within the next times. It will be highly important to watch out how the actual market developments are actually setting up here, because these will be some major disruptions within the Euro USD development. And because of this, I am going to pick Euro USD to my watch list of potential short candidates within the current market developments. And I am going to re-estimate the situation and reanalyze the situation when important changes happen within my analytics dashboard. With this being said, it will be great when you support my project further with a like, follow, and comment. And with this being said, bye bye.